Hi there. I'm Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy. Welcome to another episode of The Night Sky This Week for May 24th, 2021. So glad you can join us. We've got a really busy show. Why don't we dig in? We've got to talk about this week, of course, the sun. The sun has been waking up in activity, goes through an 11-year natural cycle of activities. That's where it's a heightened level every 11 years or so. And we're entering that period where there's a lot of activity on the sun. And how we can see that is through sunspots. So let me show you here my favorite website that I like to go to when in terms of solar activity is the spaceweather.com. I'll put a link in the chat after this broadcast so you can check it out yourself. And what's really neat is there are two sunspots. These are cooler regions on the sun that show to us as darker spots. Here you can see the sun has been without freckles for many, many years, in fact, it seems, to a person like me who loves to look at it and the sun through solar filters. And we can see that there's two sunspots, a very small one on the edge and this one facing towards Earth, 2824. Now imagine this is something that's probably bigger than our planet Earth, this sunspot is that you're seeing right there close up. And this is a picture taken through a solar filter telescope. And what's particularly interesting is geomagnetic storm watch is being announced by spaceweather.com, which is really neat. It means that there was a series of flares that was seen on the surface of the sun. They've actually taken a movie. This is from that sunspot right there. You can see this is a time-lapse movie taken by a sun-watching satellite, NASA sun-watching satellite called SOHO. And there you can see these flares coming. It looks like geysers coming off the surface of the sun. So that's really neat because this is turned towards the Earth, it seems, heading towards our direction. And the latest space weather forecast shows how this basically cloud of charged particles, that's what you see here, is the sun at the center of this model. This is a computer model showing how they think all that charged particle cloud is heading out into deep space away from the sun. And this little dot right here is the Earth over here. And if you can see, if we move this and kind of start this movie, you can see it kind of looks like almost like a piece of artwork to me. But this is, of course, the sun is moving around on its axis, and it's belching out these clouds. And look at that. You can see where these clouds are heading. So you have the Earth and you have also the two satellites. So this one here is the Earth, and you can see here the satellites as well. The stereo A and stereo B are located on either side of the Earth. The Earth is the green one here in the middle. And you can see on this time-lapse movie, it's showing us what they're predicting is where these clouds are heading. You can see them being belched right here. See that? And it's heading towards the Earth. And these two satellites over here are what's detecting the activity on the sun. And it's used to create these computer models. And you can see the date and time here being as we're moving forward. Today's the 24th. And this is predicting where these clouds are heading. And what we think is the models are showing us that that these coronal mass ejections, these clouds of charged particles, will hit Earth's magnetic field around late in May, on May 25th, maybe giving us also activity on 26th. So basically Tuesday night and Wednesday night, everyone around the world should be looking for the possibility of auroras, these northern lights or southern lights, depending on where you are around the world. But this is a possibility. It doesn't mean it will happen, but there is a possibility of having some beautiful light show thanks to all this solar activity on the sun. It's something really cool. Again, this is at spaceweather.com. You can keep an eye on that. I'll put a link to this in the chat So here we are. We've got our sky set up for Monday, the 24th of May. This is soon after local sunset. And what you'll notice, of course, where the sun sets, you have two of my favorite planets, Mercury and Venus. Very low to the sunset western sky. So find a spot that's really clear for you to be able to see these two planets easily. That's what I highly recommend, is finding a good location to view Mercury and Venus. And there'll be something interesting later this week. If we move forward, let me just move this a few days forward, and you will notice, look at that. Look at Mercury and Venus. Did you see that they're coming together? So basically by Thursday, I should say Thursday and Friday, and to Saturday, they will be at their closest. Look at this. Look how close the two planets are. I've got some stars there, but let me just put off some of those stars. So you'll see, there you go. So this is what you would see through a pair of binoculars. Mercury is going to be the fainter of the two star-like objects you'll see in your binoculars, and then the super bright one is going to be Venus. Now, this is all happening low in the western horizon, about a half hour after your local sunset. Now, it's kind of tricky, so you got to make sure you do find that location where you can see these two objects. You can see them tonight on Monday, May 24th, or anytime later this week. Anytime you got a clear evening, check the two out. All this week, they're very, very close, but of course, their utmost closest, what we call a conjunction of these two planets, occur Thursday through Saturday. Those are when they'll be at their closest. And it's a beautiful sight to be able to see two planets so close. In fact, they'll be so close together that in a telescope, you should be able to see both of them. Look at that. So they will be separated by as much space as the disk of the full moon is in the sky. So if you think of how large a full moon is from edge to edge, that's about how far away Mercury and Venus will appear in our skies. This again is Friday and Saturday. Thursday you can start as well, soon after sunset. So do check that out. It's a really amazing sight. I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful conjunction. Very easy to see, especially if you have binoculars, and if you have a telescope, you can really look into more details of these two planets. It's really fun to see. So if we widen our view back out, I'm gonna switch back to Monday, the 24th. Let me just get back here now. There we go, and just move on until sunset. There's the sun. And look, we have another friend in our solar system that's making big news this week. I'll tell you why in a second. Is in the southeast, we've got the moon, the near full moon. This is what we call a waxing gibbous moon. It's gibbous, meaning more than half of the disk of the moon is visible. Waxing refers to the fact that it's increasing in size. It's heading towards becoming a full moon. Now, on Monday, May 24th, the moon is situated in the constellation Libra. And if we move forward in days to the 25th and to the 26th, what is going to be very cool is that the moon will be undergoing a lunar eclipse, a total lunar eclipse. And this is a special one because in the month, and it has a big name, you might have heard it in the news. It's called the super flower blood moon. That's how it's been dubbed in the media. I know it sounds pretty spectacular and dramatic, but really the flower part refers to the fact that this is the time of the year in the northern hemisphere when flowers bloom in the month of May. So any full moon that happens in the month of May, one of the nicknames of that full moon is called a flower full moon. It's a super moon because it's going to be closer than average, the moon, to the Earth. So it will appear slightly larger and slightly brighter. It's debatable how observable that effect will be. The fact that it's brighter, probably a little bit. The fact that it's bigger, I don't think most of us will actually notice that difference, especially if you're a casual sky watcher, but it will look beautiful rising. So you'll have a full moon rising in the eastern horizon soon after your local sunset. Now, with that said, on May 26th, the moon at the same time is undergoing a lunar eclipse. Now, let me give you some details about that, and I'll send you can find out your own details wherever you are. It's a big world after all, and there's a lot of places. I know you guys are all scattered about, and you want to know exactly where and when to see it. Now, the big story with this, let me just find here. My favorite site is going to timeanddate.com. They have a wonderful layout of all of this information, and I will give a link to all of this again in the comment section, so stay tuned after this broadcast. Now, this shows you a wonderful map of where it is visible, this eclipse on Monday. And what you'll notice is where it's shaded on this map is where you can see it the best. And what you'll notice right away is that this shading is right across, centered over the Pacific Ocean. So let me see if I can get a better view here. There we go. So look at that. You see that where it's dark here? This is where all of the eclipse will, from beginning to end, which lasts about 3.5 hours, would be visible. Anywhere from either side, as you see the lighter shading, that's where you'll see part of the eclipse. So in this case, the eclipse will be visible across the western portion. See this darker shading here in North America? The western portion of North America and the bottom tip of Chile and Argentina in South America will see a part of the eclipse before your local sunrise. So in the early morning is when you'll see it'll be an early morning event on May 26th. You'll see part of the eclipse. You'll see the full blood moon effect. That's what this dark shading means. Anyone in this central area, in where Australia and New Zealand is, folks here will be able to see the entire 3.5 hour event. As the moon enters the shadow of the earth and exits, you will see the entire 3.5 hour event. And then again through Asia, this region in Asia across Japan and parts of China and even parts of India, we'll see in the evening time as the moon rises in the east. This is where it will already be under a partial eclipse, and you'll see the full eclipse as the moon is rising, and you'll see part of all of that happen. So here in North America and South America, again, you'd see the part of the eclipse up until the full effect, and then the same goes for on Asia. Now, I'll have all of this on the chat, and just to show you how cool this map is here, if you click on this map on Time and Date, what you can do is zoom in, of course. So here we go. Let's zoom in, say, on the west coast of North America. Okay, and you can see there's Los Angeles there. Let's try that. And if we go to Los Angeles, if I click on Los Angeles, I get a little call-out map here. Shows Los Angeles, California. Total lunar eclipse is visible. It tells you the duration and duration of totality, meaning when the moon turns red for 14 minutes, 14 and a half minutes, you'll see. It tells you when the partial eclipse begins at 2:44 a.m. local time. You got to be a late night owl for this, folks, if you're on the west coast of North America. And then the full eclipse begins, meaning full, meaning it's all that blood red color that you hear so much about. That begins at 4:11 in the morning. So really before your local sunrise is when this is happening. So you can click anywhere on the map, which is really great. Oregon, any city, if you zoom in, you'll get more towns as well, and you can see what the local view of the lunar eclipse is. It's really fun. I'll put the link for this in the chat, and this is where I like to go and kind of skulk around and see what my friends are gonna see. And it's really, really neat, a neat way to kind of get around and figure out how a beautiful natural event like a lunar eclipse happens. So again, that's at timeanddate.com. You can check that out for yourself. And they will also have lunar eclipse live stream as well. I'll put a link to all of those live streams. There's actually a collection at AWB, Astronomers Without Borders. We're putting together a nice collection of live streams of the lunar eclipse from places like Western North America, but also from Japan, from the Philippines, from Hawaii. Lots of really cool footage from there. So I'll give you a link to that as well. So you won't miss out the lunar eclipse. No matter where you are in the world, you'll get a chance to see at least part of it. Again, that's May 26th. That is really the big heavy duty event that's happening this week in terms of the moon. And even if you're not in an area where the moon is under eclipse, do check it out, because it's really neat to be able to see the moon get shaded, of course, by the Earth's shadow is one thing, but to see the silvery orb of the full moon rise this Wednesday, it's going to be beautiful. It's a super moon as well. It's called a flower moon because of the timing of the year. It's just a gorgeous event you don't want to miss. So that's the full moon rising under an eclipse on May 26th. Now, if we move to later in the day, let me see, because of the moon being, of course, dominating the skies, the overnight skies this week, we won't see too many of our friendly neighborhood dark sky situation of all our events that we like to, but there's one asterism I want you to, a stellar pattern that's formed by 3 stars that are going to be playing a major role through the next coming months. And I want you to go out and find it. And it's okay if the moon is out there. The moon is going to be next to, just so that you'll see, on Wednesday, the moon is going to be next to a very bright orange star. Again, another big player over the next few months. We'll be talking about Scorpius, the constellation Scorpius. You can see it right here. And the moon is going to be pairing up with Antares, the brightest star in the constellation Scorpius. Antares is this wonderful red giant star. It's distinctly orange. You'll see a big color difference between the silver moon and this orange star. It marks the eye of Scorpius. So check that out. And then the other group of stars, anytime this week, rising in the, and this is in the east. You can see we're in the east. I'll widen the view. And there's 3 very bright stars that you'll notice. And I'll just zoom it out here. You can see it's Vega, and you've got Deneb over here, and Altair. Vega, Deneb, and Altair make what we call the summer triangle. For those of you in the northern hemisphere, that this is something that will be a dominant force over the next few months. So I want you to go out and try it. Later in the evening, it's higher in the sky. It will dominate the southern sky by July, August, and September. All the way into October, we'll be able to see this. But it's a wonderful guidepost because it shows us an area of the sky that's filled with Milky Way deep sky objects. Lots of treasures that you can scan with your binoculars and with a small telescope. And so I just wanted to point this out. Vega is in the constellation Lyra. Deneb is in the constellation Cygnus. And then Altair is in the constellation Aquila, the eagle. So you're going to learn about 3 different constellations, how to find them, thanks to the brightest star within each constellation marking a vertex of this, a point in this stellar pattern we call the summer triangle. So I want you guys to go out and then look what's underneath here. You've got also Saturn coming up late in the night as well, rising in the southeastern sky around local midnight is when you'll see Saturn popping up there as well. So there's a lot of really cool things this week. Again, it's busy. We've got auroras, we've got sunspots, we've got a lunar eclipse, we've got a conjunction between Venus and Mercury, we've got the summer triangle to look for, we've got the moon pairing up with Antares. So a whole slew of things. I hope you had a good time with me. It was a lot of fun showing you all these things in the night sky. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or on Twitch. Every week, I'm here sharing everything about the night sky and space exploration, astronomy in general. Lots of interesting things every week. Thank you so much for your support, and I wish all of you, of course, clear skies. Bye-bye.